There we go. We're live.
Yeah.
Humberto, welcome to my podcast, which it's not a very big podcast. We've only got about 10 people that listen to it, but I think we'll do a really good podcast today because you're a very special guy. And we met in Tepotzlan. You do tarot readings there and you teach meditation as well. And I was living there. So to give the people listening, I was living there, a bit of a background. I was living there for a few months last year, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was this time last year, like last September. And we did a tarot reading with you. We actually thought your store was like a Moroccan like furniture store because it was like so everything was so beautiful and old, and we were both looking, like me and my ex-girlfriend were looking in the door like, wow, what's this? And then you popped your head out and said, tarot? And then we said, yeah, sure, go ahead. So we didn't really know what to expect, but I think that both of us were like really, really blown away by tarot that you did for me. And then I came back a couple more times, and I think she came back separately to do tarot with you. And I think they both had all the readings had like a big impact on us. And so I definitely want to talk about that. But we also sensed that you had a lot more about you than just the tarot readings. You clearly like are very devoted to your practices, and it was obvious not through what you were saying, but I think through how you felt to us, like just being with you, we could feel that you were very calm, very collected. And then we obviously did some meditation with you as well. And I still use those techniques that you taught us. You know, they were really, really good. And I just wondered, like, how did I find this little gem in Tepotzlan, this little diamond that you're just hidden in the mountains in this little magical town in Mexico, this pueblo Mexico. And yeah, I guess I haven't seen you since I left, so we never really got to know you like too much more. But I'd just love to ask you more about how you, like your life and how you got into tarot and how you got into meditation and stuff. So maybe maybe you could give people listening like a bit of a background on yourself and where you're from and stuff like that.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm very glad to be here. And yeah, it's. I want to start with this place that you came and we met together at. This is nice little shop with Indian style and with Morocco style, all those things that people all the time is taking pictures in front of my business door, because the door is very nice Indian door, and I put an enneagram in the front of the top of the door, so it's like it's yeah, like I have special energy, and I think I'm good on that. But besides that, I'm from Mexico City. Actually, where I born was in Hermosillo, Sonora, which is in the north of Mexico. If you are familiar with the books of Carlos Castaneda, all the stories that Carlos Castaneda talk about in his books is about that place, which is in the north of Mexico, in the desert of Sonora, which I came from. So I start with that because I think I have a very deep connection with this Indian, sorts of energy and tradition. So I start with that background. It's like have a very deep connection with the Indian tribes and all those things. especially here in this country, which is magic in that way. So then I moved to so many places, but basically in Mexico City, I start to grow up and start looking and search for all these spiritual things. And I went all over, some kind of spiritual masters, some tradition, Indian, this Buddhism, what else? Sufism.
Yes.
So many. And but finally I find we can call it a guru. So I started in its initiation. I'm talking about maybe 40 years ago. I have this, they call it this intensive weekend meditation of the awakening of the Shakti, the famous Shakti path, which the energy inside of us, which is supposed to be awakened with a real guru. So I have a really deep experience with that guru at that time, and that waking me up to all this view, complete difference. And I'm talking about the values of the mundane and context. And so I start change my whole entire life after that. And so I focus all my energy since then on meditation every day since then, and really with really tough hunger of that, you know. So then I went to India 3 times, and yeah.
It's quite an intense meditation, quite advanced techniques that you were taught in this retreat.
Yeah, that at that time I also been into so many techniques of meditation. At the end, and finally I think the most practice meditation is the one I teach you, which is Vipassana meditation. If you follow the Vipassana meditation, the technique of Vipassana, you immediately going to start to meditate. You know, it's not like other kind of meditation that you start repeating a mantra and all those things. I'm not saying that's not a good meditations practice. And I'm just saying that the one it works for me was the Vipassana meditation, which is very direct, very objective, go over the objects and go deep, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so what is Vipassana? What is Vipassana meditation for people listening? How is that different?
Yeah. Vipassana meditation is a Buddhist technique of meditation. There is two meditations, 2 ways of meditation. One is called shamatha, which is calm the mind. You have to go down the mind, less thoughts. And Vipassana meditation, which is deep understanding of how our mind works. There is 2 very clear and separate way of starting to go into this into these techniques and trying to find out who you really are. That's the main goal of all meditation, to find out who you really are. What's the source of everything? What's the beginning of everything? What's the cause of everything? You know, so once you go into the Vipassana techniques, is more like understanding what's going on with you. Instead of just be quiet and relax and follow the breath and all those techniques. I'm saying once again, I don't say it's not. It's good techniques, But Vipassana have something else, you know. You add something that is like they call it in other tradition, in Sanskrit terms, it says a jnani techniques, which is more, you know, comprehension, understanding of the function of our insides of ourselves.
Mm-hmm. And that's this is like self-inquiry. It could be
In
called
one
that.
way, yeah. It's not the same
Or,
as the technique of Vichara, which is the one famous technique came from Ramana Maharshi, which is self-inquired. Yeah, it's not the same, but it goes in that direction. Yeah.
okay. So it's not completely contemplating purely on the nature of the self, or who am I, which is what Ramana Maharishi and Muji and Papaji, they recommend people to just focus purely on who are you, what is the self. But this is a little bit different in that it is more of a broader technique, more things are included because you're looking at the nature of the mind as well.
Yeah, for me the difference is in the self-inquiries throughout the techniques of Ramana Maharshi is more like a going into the source of everything, you know. And the Vipassana meditation is you have an object. With that object, it could be outside of you, you know, to trying to see how you take the objects from outside, you know, the other impression that you receive throughout the sense. When you are receiving, you have to be that object that you're receiving, that impact or impression. You have to see what happened with that impression that you receive. And it's like focus outside, we can say that. But the self-inquiry is complete opposite. You focus more deep inside.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that
So
makes sense.
I remember the techniques that you taught me. One of them was just every time. So we closed our eyes, and we just, every time we heard a sound on the outside, we said listening, listening, listening.
Right.
So if you heard a bird, you know, like a bird making some noises, you have to say listening. If you hear a car horn, listening. If you hear even your belly, your stomach like gurgling, listening. And anything you hear, you say listening, listening, listening. And we did that for about 20 minutes, I think, was like, which is not a huge, but it was enough for me to put me into a really deep state of peace and relaxation.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's that kind of object, the object of hearing is outside object, you know, come from outside.
Yes.
But impacts you inside. So first you have to see how you connect with that, because there is always an I behind that, you know, an I behind the perception. And the really deep meditation, you have to remove that I, you know, and to have the pure the impact of the impression that you are receiving without an I, without an ego.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to first witness just the impact of the object in a relaxed way, before you can even begin to think about who is observing or experiencing that object, you first have to actually just experience it in its raw form. And then you can start to ask, well, who is observing it?
Exactly.
Right. That's
exactly.
amazing. I didn't know that.
Because because there is no way to keep going deep. If you are not able at the first, when you start meditating, if you are not able to receive the object in the more peaceful way, there's no way you can go deep it, you know. First of all, you have to realize that, and then you can go deep and deep.
Wow. That's awesome. So this is what happens in Vipassana retreats. There are different techniques every day, and usually you have to be silent for the whole retreat. You don't speak to anyone. Right. And what was your experience in that first Vipassana retreat? What happened?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time and years. I did retreats in the 90s. I spent all the 90s doing retreats, Vipassana retreats. Well, it's so extensive, but I'm gonna tell you something that really impacts me, really deep into me. I was the one who was very close to the teacher. My teacher was he passed away just a year ago. His name was Achan Sobin Namtom. Sorry, Achan Sobin Namtom.
It's a long name.
Yeah, he was my teacher of meditation. So I was helping him in translating. People came to having these retreats in close from Mexico City, and you can imagine all the stories that all this meditation came to the retreat, all kind of stories of very, how you say it, very sad and very terrible stories. The people
didn't have good experience.
Yeah, about life and all those things, and
right. They had trauma. They had trauma and many problems.
Exactly, so many problems, and I was complete, surprised with all those things. I never had this kind of experience before, hearing all these people. Now I can see in the way of complain, why me, why the life is so tough for me, all those things, And you know what my teacher says? Oh, yeah, fine. Don't worry about that. Forget it. Let's focus in the right here in the present. And I was like, what? He don't have any compassion about them? And now I understand that. That's a real compassion, saying, forget about that. All those things was in the past. Those things is nothing. If you really start focusing the present, So now I can see that at the distance. I say, wow, that's the best advice. Forget about all the story that you have. There is nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
No. I know I'm not going against any of those therapy people who likes all those things. I'm thinking helping people, all those things. I know against that. But this is like, okay, my friend, you really want to go deep into this and heal yourself in the deep way, do it the way I say it. Just forget it all the past and focus in the present. That was really impactful for him. Really shocked me. And so that's one of them, the thing I just keep from that for those years before, And all the time when and then on this kind of struggle with me in my life, I just remember that and say, stop, here and now, be present, keep going. No?
Yes.
That's what the Vipassana techniques of meditation given to me. Very practical way of being life. What's going on right now, right here and now. The past is the past. It's gone. It's no future. The future, it doesn't exist. So why worry about that? And be really deep and focus in the present.
Yes. And
yeah,
do you think that it's natural for the mind to go to the past and go to the future before you have had the training to learn how to be in the present moment?
Yeah. The mind is always going back and forward because that's the way. It's the only way that the mind knows how to function. So you have to train your mind to get rid of all that. It's a training. You have to train your mind. That's what the meditation are for.
Yes. And and so really the technique is to show you that you have a mind and that you are not the mind.
Exactly.
Because
you are not the mind, you are not the body, you are not emotion, you are nothing of that. But I'm going to tell you what you are. You and me, we are conscious.
Yes.
Consciousness.
And for people who have never meditated or never read into Eastern philosophy, they probably don't understand what that means. How are we consciousness? What do you mean I'm not my body and I'm not my mind? Do you think it's possible for people to understand what we mean without experience? Or do you think you have to do the techniques in order to experience that your consciousness? Or can it be taught to people?
I think it's about every person is different, and it's all related with the karma of the people who have some interest in all those things, you may have you may find someone who didn't know anything about that, but they have a really background, I'm talking about a karma, the past lifetimes, and then suddenly, just in 1 second, they remember everything and start going up, it's something waking up on this person and start, but you never know. It's hard to say. That's the reason. There's another thing that when I was in India, the first time I came to India, I had this Buddhist teacher, and he was telling us that he had to give his teachings in 3 levels of understanding, because he's trying to say, okay, first level of understanding, and he starts saying something about the teaching. Okay, this is the second level of the understanding. This is the third level, which is that's the way those teachers do it in India, in those special retreat centers in Bodh Gaya, which used to be where the Buddha get enlightenment. So you never know.
Yeah. So you're basically saying that it kind of depends on if destiny, which is karma in a way, if they're destined in this life to go to that level, then it will happen for them. If they're not, if the karma isn't right, then they won't be blossoming into that fruit or that flower in this lifetime, perhaps they may get to the philosophy, they may get to the Dharma, which is the right actions, the right way to live, but perhaps they might not get to the second and third stages where they really start to realize themselves as cosmic consciousness, right? Which is what we're saying, that we are all one consciousness. The universe is one. We're all one with the universe. But to realize that is very difficult for a human being.
Yeah, complete. Yeah. That's the way it is. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And do you feel like you have gotten through to level 2 and level 3? Do you feel you've experienced moments of cosmic consciousness? And I'm asking some deep questions.
Yeah, this question is out of all this. No, I have to be very honest with you and with myself, especially with myself. I have to be no, but I believe it.
You believe it's going to happen?
Yeah, sure. Because you're getting close every time. It's like, yeah, it's there. Just you just have to be you just have to be present. So simple. And it might sound very easy thing, but it's not. It's not. Because the mind is, making noise, all the thoughts. And before talking about enlightenment, all those things is being kind with yourself and be kind with everything around you.
Yes.
And then something else can happen.
Do you think that a lot of people are chasing the Enlightenment, or perhaps they're obsessed with getting it? And do you think that could?
Yeah, it's planning.
Yeah.
Planning all over the world. Yeah.
And because in some of the recent podcasts I've done, I've been really learning a lot about ancient Tantra, which is the last 2 episodes. It's very much different to yoga in that there isn't a fight. In yoga and Hinduism, it's like a war. It's like the Bhagavad Gita. It's like the battle for the soul's throne, right? And I've been talking about the difference between Tantra, how it approaches things more with acceptance that the realization will happen on its own. You just have to be present and do the practices and not worry about what's going to come. You just do it, and if the fruit is going to fall from the tree, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. If not, don't worry. Everything is perfect as it is.
I'm going to put it this way. Only when you are present, the, how you call it? Everything can happen.
Right.
I'm talking about in the spiritual sense,
Yes.
Before that, it's just an accident of having drugs, to have the experience of something bigger than you. Believe me, I've been in all those things for years and years and years. Now I'm very clear about that. So just be present. That's the only thing I can share with you in this profound topic, you know?
Yes, yes.
Try to be present.
And it's funny that that's exactly what Buddha said, which was he didn't give any philosophy, he didn't make anybody read any scriptures. He really just said, be present and live good, because I think he knew that whatever he said, people would create a religion out of it. They would create something to avoid being present, which is all he wanted people to do, was just to practice being present.
Exactly. Yeah. The Buddha, his teaching of Buddha is very straight, and it says, if you are present, you are alive. If you are not present, you are dead.
You are that.
Simple.
Yes.
No?
So really, it seems like all of the teachers are saying the same thing. When they become enlightened, they kind of all say that you already are enlightened, but
Right.
you just don't know that you are, and you have to turn inwards to look at yourself.
Yeah.
To even, it's already there. You're perfect as you are. You're perfect. You're human. Everything about you has been created perfectly. There's nothing to become. There's nothing to change. It's purely to just look at yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, the sun is always shining. The clouds, which
In
is the
Mexico,
mind, and all those things are cover the sun, you know. The only
yeah,
thing you have to do is remove the obstacles. The only thing you have to do.
yes,
And the
and
sun is there shining.
yes, and it's like having dust on the mirror. You just need to
Exactly.
clean the dust away. And so, do you think that the trauma and things that have happened in people's past, that is dust, that is the clouds?
Yeah,
So
sure.
when we turn inwards, it's normal to experience the traumas again. And why is that? What happens there? Do you know why?
Because my understanding says that when you start cleaning all your subconscious, you have to go through all that. Sir Aurobindo is one of the highest Indian guru in the past centuries. Says the path of enlightenment have to go all the way up to obtain energy, clarity, to go all the way down to our self-conscious and start cleaning. And then when once again up, and when you go up, next time you're gonna go higher. Okay? And next, when you start going down once again, you're gonna go more deep to clean all which is inside of us, which is all these traumas, all these past lifetimes, all those things that are like obstacles. Yeah, you see like obstacles. It's our natural, you know. So that's one of the reasons is so hard, because the majority of people is always thinking that the spiritual path is going just go up and up and having some kind of joy of spirits, ananda experience. And no, you have to go deep and clean yourself in the deep way, you know, of the subconscious. That's really enlightenment. when you have all which is behind, which is down on you, all this subconsciousness, you have to remove and have everything complete clear, you know. Remove all those things. That's a real enlightenment.
Yes.
So people think it's just going up. No, you have to clean all this. Actually, Sira Rubini was working and is trying to listen to this. Was trying to enlighten the cells, the body. He was working on that.
He was a scientist, or
in a way, yeah, in a way.
Oh, he was trying to meditate and go and see inside of his cells. He wanted to clean them.
He was trying to enlighten the cells. The material, he says, and the Dalai, I read from the Dalai Lama, it says the same thing. So it's possible that this body can get enlightenment. It sounds surprising, but it's true. It sounds amazing.
Do you think that's why in so many of these retreats and different, practices and sects, that they always demand that you go vegetarian and clean your body and purify your body and get sunlight? Because do you think that they know that the body is the vessel? It's the way we can experience enlightenment. It's a very important part of the path, right?
Yeah, sure. You have to have the best equipment, because you are going to the journey, which is very demanding. I remember I was with this like a tantric practice. I was with this friend of mine, this girlfriend of mine, and we were just and this in the same bed, and I wake up with this energy of, we can call it the Kundalini energy, very strong.
Yes.
And I was like, wait, I can hold it. So that kind of energy, my body is not ready for that intense energy, So you have to train all the dimension on yourself. This body have a lot of dimensions.
So when we do the Kundalini practices, for instance, Kundalini is like it's a yoga practice.
Yeah.
And it's a way of awakening an energy, or the Shakti, as you called it earlier. It's about awakening it, and it sits at the root, our root chakra, at the base of the spine. And that's where obviously our sexual reproductive system is. And that sexual energy travels up the spine through these practices. And when it's concentrated in the head, it can give out-of-body experiences, and it's very powerful for meditation, I assume, or what else can it do?
Well, first of all, you have to know that all the regular teaching about the chakras all says there are just 7 chakras. It's not true. There is more chakras in the top of our head. It's more chakras. That's what Aurobindo says. We don't have just 7 chakras. We have more than 7 chakras.
Wow.
When you just go in the top, and you just start to go into more, higher levels. Awakening more chakras, So it's so big, my friend, to talk about this. It's just
huge. It's huge. Maybe maybe we'll save it for another episode before we both fly off the planet. Maybe we could talk a little bit about how you got into tarot and how and what you've been doing with tarot the last few years.
Yeah, well, tarot for me was very interesting because when I came here to Tepotzlan, so I've been having a lot of signs, you know, signs, yeah.
Yes.
That
yes.
That I have to, well, yeah, I have to connect with so many things, you know. When I just first came here, I've been having dreams before to came here. I've been having some kind of strange experience. So anyway, the thing is, actually, I start with rooms. And people start asking me, do you retire? And I say, no, I use your room. Okay. So I say, okay. And I have to jump into a tarot. So for me, it was very easy because for my background, you know, I was already reading the rooms. And then for my background, all this spiritual research and everything, for me, it was very easy to jump into the tarot, you know.
The runes are so.
Sorry?
What are the runes?
Oh, the runes are this. It's symbols that comes from the north of Europe. They call it the Vikings wave of a divination of you know what I mean?
Oh wow. Okay.
It's yeah, it's like the tarot, but in the European. Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, you actually came from there.
Yeah, maybe I need my runes interpreted.
Yeah.
Should do that. But anyway, you got into, so you were interpreting the runes. They're like symbols, and then after that, you also started doing tarot, and and so you're, for me anyway, you're obviously like, I think you're the best person I've ever done tarot with. I think it's very natural for you. But what drew you to it, and you know what happened in that time when you first started doing it?
Thank you for that. Well, tarot is it's how you say it? Yeah, it's a teaching. It's if you really it's no ending, you know, it's infinity. Do you think you know some kind of any card? You think you know everything about that card? Is just you are lying. Well, that's my way of seeing. Because have so many layers, so many levels, deep and deep and deep. There's no end to that. It's infinity. It's no limit.
Wow.
But the main thing for me, personal, that was a tool of knowing myself. It's very interesting, the exchange, the energy when you're in front of someone who's having the tarot read. It's like a change of energy, and you can see the natural of the being. We all have the same things, the same limitations, the same backgrounds. I've been reading tarot for people for all over the world with the same problems, with the same desires, with the same. So there is very sorry,
common threads between humans, common things that bind us together, like stories, archetypes, personalities. You know, you have the card of the fool, the magician, the high priestess, and
all all those, sorry, yeah, all those cards is telling you. Well, I think I'm going to start with this to have a whole picture of what's the, how you call it, to understand in depth.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to know that all this kind of let's call it an activity, all this kind of magic, whatever you want to call it, they start always with duality. Okay, male and female. All the cards, all the rooms, sorry, have this characteristic. Or there is male energy or female energy. Okay. Once you know that, you're starting to see, okay, this card is male energy, have to have these qualities. Okay. Then there is another level, which is the 4 elements. Okay. Each card represents one element. Okay. Air, all the elements. So when you see the card, okay, this male energy with this element now is starting telling you something like, okay, these 2 elements is telling me that the card is saying that this is the way it is. Okay. Then after these 4 elements, they came the planets of this the, how you call it, these systems,
Solar system.
So once you know that and how to connect with them, everything is easy. You know, the way to interpret it is easy. It's just like mathematics. You add or reduce. The only thing, if you tell me what's the only thing that that myself don't know how this instrument work is, I'm not sure how the people choose the right card. If you ask me that, I will tell you, I don't know. That's maybe the magic of the tarot, but because behind of that, a part of that, everything is just mathematics, add and rest. Simple as that.
Right, but the actual magic is when some person engages with the deck. It seems like the deck responds and gives them what they need. And I think that's why a lot of people don't believe in tarot, because they can't understand what's happening between the people. They don't believe that it could be possible that you could pull a card that you need to teach you something or to show you something. It's like, how could that be possible? And yeah, you're saying even you don't know what it is. You can interpret the deck, you can interpret the cards, and that's the system. It's like elements and masculine or feminine. There's certain meanings behind the cards which tell you about the person's life, and you've interpreted all the meanings of the cards, but you still don't understand how the cards become revealed to the person so correctly every time. That's the magic.
Exactly, that's the magic. Knowing thing, I don't know how, and if you ask me, I can have some theories about that, but no more. Once the card is open, everything is under control. After that is like, I don't know, don't know. Yeah. But it happens.
It does. It really does. It really does. It's very impressive. I mean, I am someone who has come from quite a scientific mind, a scientific background, and one of the things I love about science is that when I study physics or quantum mechanics, it blows my mind, because when you get to the very root, nobody understands what's happening in quantum mechanics. And the same thing in tarot is that you get all the way to the bottom of tarot, and it's the same thing, is you just don't know what's happening, but you know magic is happening. In quantum mechanics, we know magic is happening. We don't know how. We know the pieces, the atoms, the electrons, the photons. We know these things are there, but how it's all playing out into this creation, or how the tarot is playing out, we have no idea. And I think that's what makes it all...
Let me tell you something about that, which is also magic. For instance, when I have a tarot read on Saturdays, it seems like that day have a special energy, because all the people, listen to this, all the people who goes and see me on Saturday, that special Saturday, all with almost the same cards, it's happening, you know? It's like something much more hard than us. It's like dictate that this kind of person with this kind of energy have to go in this kind of day.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Because wow, this card is repeating once again. And the next tarot read, we complete another person, complete different, the same card appears again. And I say, wow. So this is the day of this energy with this card, because it's so obvious that that thing is gonna is happen, you know.
It's a pattern that you're seeing.
Yeah, wow. And that's the thing, is waking me up like, wow. It's say, wow, it's much more deep that the thing with that I think is the tarot, you know. Have a lot of deep connections. Not only with everything, the cosmic and the planets, the dates, the special as a human beings, you know, all are connected. And the tarot is the one to show you that it's connected. Yeah.
Yes. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier about the meditation, that eventually we all have to realize that we're all together, that we're not separate from the universe. We're not separate from each other. We're all bound together in this universe. But it just seems that all over the world right now, and all of the history that's brought us to this point, it seems like we're going through some big lessons around the world now, and people are starting to kind of get a bit scared, or they're not sure what's going on. Do you think that everything that's happening around the world is almost like it's trying to teach us to wake up to what we really are?
Oh yeah, in one way, sure. It's all the time that all the time is like well, especially if you're starting to go into deep into all those things, you know. It's about everything's about vibrations, you know. If you have a frequency and you connect with that frequency, there is no more science, it's just frequencies, you know. If you go to a higher frequency, you're going to start to have knowledge here, and you're going to start to see things from that level of frequency. It's so clear in that way, you know. Which is the vibration of yourself? What's the vibration of your mind? You know. So if you don't go, if you don't break that vibration, go up, it's always the same thing. Nothing's gonna happen really deep in your life if you don't break this you tone of vibration, you know. Actually, meditation, to meditate is one of the objects of meditation is high, is, you know, go up into the level of your frequency.
To raise your vibration to a higher frequency.
Exactly. So clear on that.
And so we've been on now for like, I think, nearly an hour. So I'm mindful of your time, and we've covered a lot of topics already. And I definitely want to get you back on the podcast, Humberto, because you're just an absolute diamond. And I think so many people could really learn from you. And hopefully I can build more of an audience so that more people can find you and hear from you and stuff. But what would you say to people listening to this podcast who are interested in kind of the things you're talking about, who may just be normal people who have never meditated before? Would you have any advice for them and what to do or where to start?
I think that that's, once again, everything is connected. If someone shows to this broadcast and without any knowledge, any background, it means that something is going to start from there. Maybe, you know, maybe, because it's just like the first call, we can say that, okay? That's the first call. We'll see what happened with you. And if something that I say, we both say, it makes sense to you, just try to keep going. And yeah, and in the other hand, it's like open up your heart, you know, open up your mind, and try to listen to something else, trying to break the limits of your conditions, of your background, of the personal history, you know.
Yes.
This is no, I have to thank you for all this effort that you do, trying to reach more people and trying to awaken some of them. Yeah, I think that's the way it is.
Yes.
I have, for instance, tonight I have a Zoom meeting with some students of mine, and on Wednesday I have always I give some talks of Dharma talks just for 10 minutes. So once you receive something in that, what's the word for that?
Capacity.
Very, that transform your life, you have to give.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So now it is time to give.
Yes. Absolutely.
I don't need nothing in return, really. Because it's a law. If you receive, you have to give. That's the only function I do here. I receive in my time, I'm still receiving. So I start, listen to this, if I have to, if I need to receive more, that is something that I have to do to receive more. So I have to give in order to receive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to receive things that are so simple, so pure, and so good for your life, because some people want to attract more money, more wealth, cars and fame and things, and they write down what they want in their journals and they manifest everything that they want. And sometimes they get those things but in life, everything comes with the negative and the positive. So if you might get what you want, but it might actually not be what you need. And so I think that what you're saying is that when you receive beautiful things, give beautiful things like this, like meditation teachings and tarot, because this is a really, really the most important thing I think anyone needs, is to know themselves and to relax and to decondition. I don't think there's anything more important than that. Maybe health is important, but even beyond health, I think knowing what you truly are is probably the most important thing for any human being, I think.
I'm completely agreed about that. It's the only way. You're talking about happiness, really happiness, have to go through all that.
Yeah.
Because it's not throughout that, it's just imagination. Everything that we construct from the mind, everything that is false, always. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything that this mind constructs, construct something. Even his reality, all that thing is false.
Yeah.
Because our essence, like we were talking before, it's there. It's just there. Everything's there. If you add something to that, it's just false.
And I think maybe something that some people have missed is maybe since doing this, you've experienced massive changes to your level of happiness and joy of living and relaxation since you began practicing meditation.
Sure. Yeah. I can tell you something that really the I can tell you is one of the goals I reach is for me is no more time, It's like no time. I have to adjust myself to the time of the life, So I have to work, I have to do this, but once I'm complete out of those tasks, contemplation.
That's really powerful. So you don't normally experience time as finite. Like there are no boundaries to your time. You feel like you are infinite. Like even if you died, your body died, you would feel like you understand that time is infinite.
Yeah, in one way, sure. It's it's a little bit different that you just said, but it's like it's like the freedom of the mind. Simple.
I see what you mean. So you don't feel like
mind
you're
is time.
right.
Okay. The mind is the mind is no more over you. It's no more. It's no time.
So you don't feel like you're rushing to do things. You don't feel the need for all of these activities and to be here, and you still do it because you have you still operate in the world, you're still functional in the world. You don't feel like your mind is constantly pushing you to do certain things by certain times and making you stress about time.
Yeah, complete. I was yeah. So for instance, for me, there is no any how you say it, resistance to meditate.
Wow.
You know, people always trying with, oh, the mind is always talking. No, it's not. It's not. It's just stop. Be present. Yeah.
That's really, really amazing, because I think for some people, most people listen to this, including myself, that's just not the case. You know, it's just not. So how long before I finish up, how long did it take you to get to that point? A few years?
Well, I'm not going to lie into that. It's hard work. Hard work. Have
Yeah.
to yeah, you have to overcome your mind.
You have to persist, be consistent.
Yeah. There's no other way. There's no other way. And yeah, we can talk about this for more, but yeah, I will be very, very glad to keep going into all this and talking more about all these topics, and there is much more.
Oh, there's so much more. Yeah, Humberto, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, and definitely you'll be back on again. And so do you have anywhere where people, you said that you do some meetings for people, you do some guided meditation?
Yeah, but I do it in Spanish.
Ah, okay.
That's the thing. So well, but I don't have any problem if someone get interested in all this, and yeah, we can do some practice in English. Yeah.
Yeah, I think your English is definitely good enough to do it. And
I think so.
where would people be able to like follow you and stuff? Do you have
Yeah.
any?
I have this Facebook page.
Yes.
It's Casa Gurdjieff. Gurdjieff was
Casa.
a more famous teacher in the past, and I've been a leader of these teachings, having groups. I'm still having groups. Actually, the group I have today is about the Gurdjieff teachings, and that's the way. That's the reason I put this homepage. Which is once again Casa Gurdjieff Facebook.
Okay, so that's I'll put that on the links for people so they can search on Facebook for Casa Gurdjieff, and
Gurdjieff. Yeah, they can write you down. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, well, we'll leave it there, and it's been an absolute pleasure to see you again and catch up as well. And
my friend.
And yeah, we'll do this again. And yeah, thanks for everybody listening to this as well. And yeah, buenas noches, mi amigo.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
We'll see you next time.
Yes,
Take care.
brother.
Thank you for the invitation.
Of course. Take care. Bye-bye.
Ciao.